another episode of the SCP Architect X Site-012 build series. This is episode 5, part 2, where we're continuing the logistics sector. In the last episode, we worked on the main warehouse and loading bay, and that ended up being a lot bigger than originally expected, but there's quite a bit left to do around this area. So today, we're going to finish off the supporting areas of the logistics. We're gonna be building the storage areas, some maintenance and generator rooms, which are referred to as plant rooms. And we're also going to finish off the areas around the loading bay. I also did a bit of work off camera. I'll show you what I've added as we go. So with that being said, let's get straight into the build. Now, there's actually something I built off camera that I wanted to show you. I've added a little office area inside the loading bay. I've decided to do this off camera because I was mostly finishing and arranging the room, and I didn't want to spend ages recording something that was basically placing office furniture. So this is basically where our logistics staff can deal with deliveries, paperwork, storage management, and all of that stuff. And I think that this fits really nicely with the rest of the logistics sector, because you've got the actual loading area, the storage, and now the administrative side of logistics all connected together. Next up, we're moving on to something a little more technical. We're going to be building the plant rooms. If you're not familiar with the term, plant rooms are basically areas where you'd find things like generators, electrical equipment, pumps, HVAC systems, and other infrastructure needed to keep a large building running. And I think that these are actually really important for Site-012, because this isn't just a small building, it is a massive underground SCP facility. It would need an absolutely ridiculous amount of power and infrastructure to keep everything running. So I'm gonna start with the generator room. I'm going to make this one a little more industrial than the rest of the logistics sector. This is where I think that the maintenance pack could actually work really well. We've got these heavily industrial looking pieces, and I think they'd fit perfectly into an area like this. I'm also going to add some warning signs and restricted access doors, because this definitely isn't somewhere where a random personnel should be walking to, but I'll be doing that later. I'm going to add some more equipment around the room now. Obviously, we're working with what the game gives us, so these aren't necessarily going to be perfect replicas of real generators. I'm mostly using different pieces together to make them look like electrical and mechanical stuff. I'm also adding some cables and smaller details around the room. These little details might not seem that important when you're building them, but once the room is finished, they really do help make it feel like something's actually happening here. Obviously, a facility this size is going to need a lot of storage. You've got scientists consistently needing equipment, security needing supplies, maintenance needing spare parts, and obviously the facility itself needs somewhere to keep all of the stuff that isn't currently being used. So I don't want this to be just one giant empty room with a few shelves in it. I want it to actually look like an area that's actively being used by the logistics department. One thing I've been trying to do with Site 012 is to make sure that rooms have purpose. So rather than just filling an empty space with decorations, I tried to think about what would actually happen in this room. For example, people working in logistics would need to be able to access these shelves easily, move equipment around, and transport things from here into the loading bay. So I'm leaving enough space between the stuff for people to actually move through. Now I'm starting to add some smaller props. I'm using things like boxes, crates, and equipment to make the area feel a little more lived in. I don't want everything perfectly organized either. If this is supposed to be an actual working storage room, there's probably going to be some stuff that's been moved around, some empty space, and some equipment waiting to be transported somewhere else. I'm also going to try and keep some sections more organized than others, because I think that it makes it feel a lot more realistic than having every single shelf looking exactly the same. Next to the storage room, I'm going to build another little plant room that's more focused around general maintenance. This could be where the maintenance team keeps spare equipment, tools, and replacement parts for the facility. I'm gonna keep this one slightly smaller because obviously you don't need a massive room for every single maintenance function. back towards the loading bay. This is where I want the logistics sector to actually feel connected, rather than being a bunch of separated rooms. We've got the loading bay over here, storage over here, and the main corridor connects everything back to the rest of Site 012. I'm also going to add a couple of access doors here, because obviously you don't want everyone in the facility to just walk around the storage areas. Logistics is still a restricted area, especially when you're dealing with equipment that could potentially be used for SCP containment, research, or security. And I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to do for logistics. So let's have a quick look around. We've got the main loading bay here, which connects directly to the logistics area. We've got the office overlooking the loading area, and then we've got some of our storage rooms and the plant and maintenance rooms tucked away behind the main logistics area. I really like how this area has turned out because it doesn't just look like a warehouse anymore. It feels like a proper department of Site 012. And with that, logistics is finally finished. This has definitely been one of my favorite areas to build so far, and honestly, I think that logistics might be my favorite sector of the entire facility. It's also been quite a different episode because part 1 was mainly focused on the warehouse and loading bay, whereas this episode was more about the smaller areas that actually make the logistics department function. So, let me know what you think of the finished logistics sector, and if you have any suggestions for things I should add, definitely leave them in the comments down below, because I've actually started using quite a few of your suggestions throughout Site 012, and there's still a lot left to build. Next, we're going to be moving on to another major project in the facility, so make sure you subscribe if you want to follow the rest of the Site 012 build. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.